This video will actually go from framing through the four-way process because the video is just getting too long. So if you don't know what four-way is, hang in there, you're about to find out. My goal is to make this the most complete video on this part of the process. So thank you for hanging with me. Sorry if I'm stuttering a little bit. Apparently Mother Nature didn't care that I was planning to shoot a video today, and it is actually freezing out here. So anyways, look forward to showing you what's happening on this house tomorrow. Hopefully the rain will stop so we can keep on going. Okay, if you look behind me, you'll see that we are framing a home. They've got the subfloor down and they're starting to frame the walls. So as long as this rain will hold off a little bit, hopefully by tomorrow we'll have the main level framed off and ready to start on the upper floor. They're framing the first floor of the house. If you look at this section right here, they're using a 2x4. That's because that's just the garage. On the interior of the home, they're also going to use 2x4s, but on the exterior walls, anything that touches the outside, so that includes the walls inside the garage that lead into the house, they'll frame with a 2x6 for better insulation. So we are inside the home that is currently being framed. I just want to show you a couple different things here. So this is an exterior wall right here. You can see it's going to the outside here. What we have right here is a blocking of 3 2x6 boards. So the 2x6 you can see is deeper. That's going to give us the ability to put thicker insulation in this section of the wall to make the home more energy efficient. And then of course if you look right here behind me, these boards here, these are just 2x4s. So these are the interior walls, so we don't need to use a thicker board there for that. So this probably isn't as important, but while we're here looking at it, I'll just talk about it really quick. While they're framing, you'll see this crossboard right here that runs up and down. That's just there for support while they're building the house. They'll actually remove it once it's safe. So now let's look at the subfloor. You can see if you look here, it just rained. So that's a perfect time to talk about this type of flooring. This is an oriented strand board, better known as just OSB, and it's actually a waterproof flooring, and it's with a heat-cured adhesive in the wood to make it waterproof. So if you take a closer look at this wood here, you can see that it's got different sections of wood here, and they're all glued together with that heat-cured adhesive, making it waterproof. So it's just layers and layers of wood flakes, and they are made by compressing them together. Okay, so if you look at this OSB, you can see that there's actually a couple of different sections. They come in sections, so you can see right here is where they come together, and they're kind of stuck together with what they call tongue and groove. So if you look right in here, you can see the groove, and this part here's the tongue, so that slides them together nice and tight right there. So if you remember from the first video I did, the foundation wall had those metal bolts sticking out of them. So now that we're framing, you can get a better sense of how they're being used. So you can see right here, this is the foundation wall coming up. This was one of those metal bolts that was sticking out. And you can see if you come in here a little closer, they've basically put the treated 2x4 down, and then they take a metal plate here to kind of help hold it down better, and they bolt it down with this bolt here, and that holds everything together really well. And if you look along the wall, you can see they've got them every few feet to make sure it stays really stable. Since it just rained, it's also a good time to talk about this board right here. Anything that touches the cement, like you see here, is actually going to be a treated board, which means it can get wet and it's not going to rot, and it'll keep termites out and all that stuff. Just in case you want to know the technical term for this, this is the bottom plate. Now we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you what the top plate looks like. So the top plate, you can see right here, it's two 2x6 boards in this case because the exterior wall is 2x6 nailed on top of each other. And so the second floor of this house will be built upon that top plate that you see right there. So if you look behind me, you're gonna see a really thick section of flooring that runs from the foundation wall up, okay? So this is where you're going to get your I-beams or your floor joists running in this situation. You can see they run this way. This is an I-beam, and then they got these other pieces here just to kind of help hold everything together. Also, you can see here how thick the floor is. Behind me, you can see the floor joist, also known as I-beams. They're called I-beams because if you look at them, they look like the letter I. And these are engineered pieces of wood that run anywhere where you're gonna have flooring. So they help span the difference between foundation wall to foundation wall, or anywhere there needs to be support. So I'll show you in the basement how these I-beams or floor joists are being used. Okay, so if you look behind me, you can see there's a really large opening. This is gonna be a big window. And when you have a large gap like this that you see coming all the way across, you need a header board. And so if you look up in the section right up through here, you can see this board that runs all the way across, okay? They're either gonna use a thicker board, one that's 4 to 6 inches thick, or they're gonna take a couple of boards and nail them together, because you're gonna lose a lot of structural integrity across this section unless you use a really strong header board. So they put a header board in here to hold the weight, and then if you look really close, where the header board meets up here, they've taken 4 2x6 boards and stuck them all together. One of the reasons you use a big header board like you see here is to make sure you don't get any sagging in the middle, which obviously would be a very bad thing. Every home that's under construction is gonna have several header boards. The header boards are these big, thick boards that you see that run across these large openings like this, and that's what keeps the roof or any of the weight from above from sagging, right? We can't have that. So what they do is they're gonna put a really thick board in this location to span that gap. And then if you look on the edges here, we'll walk over, you can see they've taken a group of boards here and stuck them all together, and that goes up there to the top. And that header board will actually rest on top of these 4 boards there, and that's really gonna make that a solid structure. Okay, so I'm in the basement of one of our completed homes to give you a better look at the floor joist or I-beams. So let me turn the camera around to give you a better view. Okay, so you can see this floor joist. You can see they all run all the way this way, and they actually go all the way across to where they're gonna meet up with the foundation wall on the other side. And this will help the floor from sagging. And what they do is you can see the underside of the OSB board. That's just, they're gonna nail the OSB into all these I-beams along here, and that'll keep the floor from bouncing. Okay, while I'm down in the basement, I also wanna talk about the bottom plate really quick. Once again, this bottom plate that you see here is a treated wood. And if you look really close here, you can see there's a nail right here. And they actually have a special gun that will shoot this nail through this wood and into the concrete. And they'll also put some glue, some dabs of glue to help hold this all in place. So we are now done framing the first floor. If you look around kind of behind me here, you'll see that they've actually covered the exterior walls with the OSB board, which is the same material that they use on the floor. The only difference is that the floor is going to be a little thicker than what they use for the walls. Okay, so this is going to give you a really good idea. You can see this piece right here. This is the subfloor that runs right here. And you can see how much thicker this is than the wall piece. This is the one that goes up the wall and that they're using on the exterior. So the OSB on the floor is going to be a lot thicker. This is a 2-story house, so if you look above my head here, you're going to see the I-beams or the floor joist, and they're hanging by what we call a joist hanger. It's kind of like a sitting in a saddle or a stirrup, right? Those metal pieces. So if you look right here in my hand, you can see one. This top section here, they nail it, they hang it up on the board like you see behind me here, and they'll nail that in, and they'll actually glue it as well. And then of course the I-beam sits right here in the stirrup in the bottom section. Okay, so you can see it there. They stuck the I-beam in the end of there, and you'll see some glue there as well. They put a little glue in there with the nails to help hold it in a bit better. And if you follow it all the way across, you'll see it resting on the top cap of the first floor. Okay, let's talk about this big beam right here. This is a main support beam, okay? And you've got all these floor joists resting on this, so you know that this big beam is gonna have a lot of weight resting on it, okay? So it's really important that we secure it. So if you look right here, you'll see that the end of this beam is resting on 4 2x6 boards. So that thing's not gonna go anywhere on this side, okay? So now if we go to the other side really quick, you're gonna see a similar situation where they've got this really big board here that it's resting on as well. So all of this will support the weight from the floor above. You'll also see that they've got the pieces ready for the I-joists on this side. As you can see behind me, they've completed the OSB on the exterior of the home, and they're currently working on the roof. So this house is moving right along. I've actually broken out the drone today, so I'm gonna fly that overhead and give you guys a view from up there. Okay, so today's my day off. Sorry for the unprofessional appearance, but I just want to show you the inside of a framed home. I'm upstairs. This week, they will start putting in the HVAC system, electrical, plumbing, things like that. Also, if you look above my head here, you'll see the trusses. It's the best opportunity to see this before they start doing any other work. Looking up at the trusses, you'll notice this little box put in right here. This is going to be the attic access. Here we have installed the fireplace box. This will be a gas fireplace. And you can see it's cantilevered to the outside, which means it's flush with the walls on the inside. And here we indented on both sides of the fireplace, so we can put media shelves up each side here. Okay, one other thing I want to talk about, as we finish up the framing stage, you can see these metal straps behind me that run up and down. I've talked about them before. They're the earthquake straps, and they've nailed them into the wall. And so if there's an earthquake, that allows the house to wiggle a little bit, but not fall. So they're very important. Okay, there's one more safety feature I want to show you. It's in the garage. You'll see this piece of rebar sticking out of the foundation wall. That's actually for a ground, so if lightning is to strike the house or anything, it'll take it down into the ground. It actually ties into all the rebar in the house. And they'll actually attach the main electrical panel to this as well. So it won't short out your house if lightning strikes. So at this stage of the game, things start moving pretty fast because you can have 2 or 3 different trades in the house at the same time. If you look behind me right here, these black pipes, you can see the plumbing's already going in. And then you can also see they've already installed the tub. I'm gonna turn the camera around and show you the master bathroom at this point. They've already installed the garden tub, the shower basin. Also, the water lines have been run for the shower head and the shower handle. You can see the toilet is ready to go there. And then of course, if you swing across here, you can see the water lines and the plumbing lines for double sinks. So things are moving pretty quick. Also, you can see that we've already installed the water lines for the washer and the drain pipe. So we're just moving right along. Okay, and you can also see here that the HVAC has already started. We're on the top floor here, so if you look down here, you can see the hole cut in the floor. This goes all the way down to the basement. Okay, so here we are on the main floor. Those pipes continue to run down. So those big aluminum tubes we were following lead us down here to the basement, where you can see they're installing the furnace. Right here, you're gonna see light coming through this piece of aluminum. and that is called your cool air return, and it allows fresh air to come into this room, which will be sealed off. And you see this vent right here. This allows the exhaust from the furnace, and then of course you see this attachment right here. That's where the water heater will hook in. It allows the exhaust to vent to the outside. Now coming up from your furnace, you're gonna see these big square aluminum vents. They're actually gonna take the cool air in the summer or the hot air in the winter to the other parts of the home. And then you'll see here, these little round pieces actually travel between the trusses, so you can finish with a flat ceiling, and they take it up here where it's gonna pump the air into the first floor of the home. I'm now directly above where I was just standing. This is where the air will come onto the main floor, and you notice they've cut a little square out of the floor that allows that vent to come up through here. So the last change that I've noticed today from yesterday was that the doors have been installed both on the front and in the garage. So we're moving forward. We've had a lot of trades in the house in just a few days, and we'll check back in tomorrow. Okay, as you can see behind me here, they are roofing. I'm gonna switch to drone mode to help explain this a little bit better. So the first thing you'll see, they'll lay a black tar paper down before the asphalt shingles, and that's a second defense against water. And then you'll notice that they start with the shingles at the bottom and they work their way to their top, so they're layering it. Okay, if you look behind me, you can see the roof is done. Once again, we're gonna switch to drone mode to show you some things. So if you look where the roof meets the exterior walls, you'll see the tar paper and flashing, which channels the water off the roof and away from the home. You'll use similar flashing around the vents and pipes you see sticking out of the top of the roof here. Okay, I am up on the roof of one of the houses. Yes, I will risk my life to give you the best possible quality video and close-ups of all the important parts of the home. So let's get a good close-up here of the asphalt shingles. And then of course you're gonna notice right here, this is a piece of flashing with a drip edge to keep the water from running into the house. Okay, so right here, you'll notice this piece of flashing. I'll get a little zoom in here. You'll notice how it pops out, right? So the water will run out and away from the house here, not towards this section here. That being said, they've continued to put the metal flashing here, and behind it, you can see the black tarp that we were talking about earlier, which also helps protect the home against water intrusion. So we're looking pretty good here. We're almost ready to start the exterior. Okay, if you look behind me, you're gonna see the same aluminum vents that were here yesterday, but if you go up, you're gonna see they continue to run up through the whole roof here. They've got it wrapped in some insulation. It's basically like a bubble wrap. And let me flip the camera around so you can kind of see what that looks like. So we're gonna follow this main run right here, and you're gonna see these little black sections coming off of those. We'll follow this one right here, trying to make you dizzy there. And you'll see that it comes to a vent. So this is where warm and cool air will enter this room of the home. And just to give you a different angle, you can see these little tentacles run all over the home to each room. Other than that, that's the only thing that's really been done today besides this. This is your dryer vent, and you can see it goes all the way up and out the roof. Okay, we're checking in on the progress of the day. You'll notice behind me here, the porch cap has been poured. And if you look closely, you'll see this black paper here. That's tar paper. And that tar paper is gonna help against any moisture. So it's gonna keep water out of the basement. Also, you'll notice right here, we've installed some windows. Most of the windows have been installed. And also you'll notice the gray paper around the window. Once again, that's a water and moisture barrier to keep water from intruding into the house. So that's really all that's been done today. We'll check again tomorrow. All right, guys, we're back at the house again. It's the end of the day. So pretty much all the work that is going to be done has been done for the day. And just going to give you an update on what's happening. I can see here that some electrical's been done. So I'm going to flip the camera around for you and kind of give you a quick tour. Okay, so if you look here, you're going to see a little electrical box. They've installed these all over the home, not far off the floor. This is where your normal plug-in outlets are going to be. If you come up here, you'll see they've put in a box for light switches. There'll be 4 switches on this one box, okay? If you come around here to the kitchen, you can see that they've installed the power for the range. Looking up at the ceiling here, you'll see these funny little boxes here. That's where the can lights will be. And then of course, if you come into the family room over here, you're gonna see another little box here with some bracing, and that's for a ceiling fan. Okay, so if you look above the fireplace, this is where you're gonna hang your TV. So you're gonna see on the left side there is your normal power, where you can plug the TV in. Next to it, you'll see that little black box with this blue tube. They actually call that Smurf tube. And that comes down to here. That's so you can put all your power cords and cable cords down there so they're not hanging down the wall. And then of course, if you look down here, there's another outlet so you can plug in all your stuff there. And you have your phone and TV jack that's gonna run into this location here. Okay, so walking into the bathroom, you see that's where the toilet's gonna be. Above that, they put this interesting little box here. That's your fan. That gets all the stinky air out of that bathroom, and you can see here, that runs to the exterior of the home. Okay, there's one more thing to point out really quick. You'll see these metal plates here. You got the long one there and the shorter, fatter piece underneath it. These actually serve 2 purposes. If you come down here, you'll notice it's right here as well. And then you can see another one there and another one here. These little metal pieces here serve 2 purposes. They will help protect against screws or nails when the sheetrockers come in and do stuff, because we do not want to penetrate this pipe or else we'll get water inside the house. They also give a little added strength here because they've cut out the 2x4s to make room for this pipe. So there you go. So once again, you're gonna see those metal plates here. They're protecting the water lines that run upstairs. And then of course, right here, you see this weird metal box on the floor. This is actually an air return. So if we look in here, you'll notice they cut the floor and it goes down to the basement. Okay, so down in the basement, you're gonna see where all the electrical cords from above, the 2nd floor and on the main floor, come to meet. Right now, it's a jumbled mess, but in a few days, we'll probably see an electrical panel somewhere in this area that brings and ties all these things together. Okay, so we're down here in the basement and they have installed the electrical panel. You can see all the wires have been pulled together nicely. It's pretty much ready to go. Okay, I have great news. This home is ready for its 4-way inspection. What is a 4-way inspection, you ask? Well, that's when the city comes to inspect the 4 big things before we can put sheetrock on the home. That means the plumbing is done, the electrical is done, the HVAC is done, and all framing issues are taken care of, and we're ready to move forward. So now that we've passed the 4-way inspection, we can put insulation in the walls and start the sheetrock. So the great news for me is part 2 of this video is done. We'll be moving on to the 3rd part, which goes from the sheetrock through the closing of the home. So hopefully you found this video informative. If so, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more great real estate videos. Other than that, hang in there. The next video will be on its way soon. Thank you.